A young girl named Kanata Sorami joins the army with the hope of learning to become a good bugler. She is assigned to a place called Seis, which is currently holding a festival where people splash each other with water. She is found by her superior, Ryo Kazumiya, who gives her a bath and tells her about the legend of the Fire Maidens. While looking at a bell owned by Ryo's father, an owl steals it, forcing Ryo to stop Kanata falling off the balcony trying to get it. As Ryo participates in the festival, Kanata decides to search for the bell. She finds it hanging off a ledge, but when she goes to get it, she falls into the lake, where she sees the golden skeleton of a winged creature. Stranded at the bottom of a canyon, she plays her bugle where she is responded to by Ryo on her trumpet. She takes her to the time-telling fortress and plays the trumpet as the sun rises, introducing herself as Kanata's bugling teacher. During breakfast, Kanata is introduced to the other members of the 1121st platoon, Felicia Heidemann, Noel Kanagi, and Kureha Suminoya. Kureha shows some hostility towards Kanata, but she is assigned to show her around the fort. When Kureha takes Kanata to see the tank of the squadron, which is in the process of being repaired, Kureha expresses her depression because the military often ignores the squadron's existence. Later that night, Noel and Kanata claim they saw a ghost in the barracks, so Kanata and Kureha are sent to investigate. They learn the place used to be a school. Kureha laments that their platoon is in the middle of nowhere and is generally ignored. The two are surprised by an owl, the same one that stole Ryo's bell, but with Kureha's help, they manage to capture it. They decide to keep it and name it Shuko. As the others go to restock their supplies, Kanata spends the afternoon music training with Ryo. Suddenly, Kanata comes down with a fever, reminding Ryo of when her mother fell ill. Out of medicine, Ryo gets help from a priestess named Yumina, who diagnoses her with 3-day fever. When Kanata wakes up, she tells Ryo that she has always been useless and has caused troubles for others. She also mentions to Ryo that she always wanted to play a song, having heard it from a trumpeter she met when she was younger. Ryo explains to her that there are many things of the past inside the tank Takamikazuchi, among which is Amazing Grace, the song they both have heard, but played by a full orchestra. Ryo explains that a squad, much like an orchestra, cannot be completed without a member. Kanata goes with Noel to get more parts for their tank, the Takamikazuchi. They visit a glass workshop run by Naomi, the lady who helped Kanata when she first arrived, and she takes interest in a glass dolphin. Later on, they run into Yumina and a couple of kids. The boy, Seiya, gets angry at them since he hates soldiers due to the death of his parents. Kanata and Noel head to a glass works factory where they are having trouble replicating the optical lens needed for the tank. Kanata reassures Noel that it is not the machines that are good or bad, but the people who use them. After speaking with the workers, Carl and Maria, they give Kanata advice that allows her to become better at playing the bugle. This in turn helps Noel determine the effective lens samples by having Kanata check their pitch. The tank lens finally works and Noel smiles for the first time in a while. The squad take a field trip to the mountains where some mechanical observers from the previous age need a maintenance check. Kanata, Kureha, and Noel are forced to carry heavy backpacks up on their height. While they find the first observer quickly, the next one lies at the top of a mountain. They take a break at a running river, but soon return to find their backpacks ravaged of their food and their compass. Despite the hunger, they eventually manage to find the remaining observers. At the last observer, Felicia shows the others the signatures left by former members who had observed no man's land from that point. They are then taken to a hot spring where Ryo, who had fought against a boar to get some bayberries, awaits. The group gives Kanata her paycheck early and she goes into town to spend it. In actuality, it is to get her out of the way while the others illegally trade calvados to make some money. When they get word from Naomi that some gangsters are planning to snoop in on the deal, they stage a mock shootout to scare them off. Meanwhile, one of Yumina's orphans, Michio, runs off when she objects to having her hair brushed. Kanata finds her at the market, where she reveals she is looking for a box that was taken from her after her mother died. Michio nearly falls off a roof from the noise caused by the mock shootout, but Kanata manages to save her before she falls, though it causes some boulders to fall that smash into the gangster's car. While apologizing to Naomi, they notice the box Michio had been looking for, which the gangsters had picked up earlier at the town market. Michio decides to give it to Yumina as a symbol of how much she cares for her. Everyone prepares for Fiesta de Lumiere, which starts to bring bad memories for Felicia, whose comrades were killed in a fierce battle. She has a flashback to where she was wandering in the battlefield with a heavily wounded arm, where she fell into a tunnel which was well buried under the ruin of the past civilization, and she finds a corpse of a soldier of the old era. In a delusion, the corpse approaches her and apologizes for the war they could not win while humanity is falling apart. Felicia was rescued from the tunnel by someone named Princess Ilia. The girls later send off paper lanterns in the river, and Felicia tells Ryo her reason for living. Meanwhile, a priest recognizes Ryo from somewhere. The squad is asked to watch over the emergency phone and wait for a call to check if it is still in order, so Kanata decides to take responsibility while the others go out for various tasks. Before Ryo leaves, she gives Kanata a trumpet book signed by an Ilia Arcadia. Later, Seiya, Michio, and the priest arrive and decide to help Kanata practice using a phone, but a mess is made when Michio spooks the owl Shuko. Yumina arrives at that point, scolds the others, and gives Kanata a change of clothes. Afterward, Kanata needs to go to the bathroom but cannot leave her post, so she holds out until Ryo comes back. The phone then rings and Ryo answers, hearing a voice she is not too fond of asking her to save Helvetia. Kanata and the others wonder if something is strange about Ryo's behavior. As a typhoon settles in, Klaus arrives with a package for Ryo. After the others tell Kanata about Princess Ilya, they hear from Yumina that Seiya has gone missing and go into the city to search for him. Kureha and Klaus find Michio, who lead them to Seiya, who was trying to protect some eggplants. While they manage to get Seiya to safety, Kureha and Klaus are blocked off by a rockfall. It is revealed that Klaus is not actually the infamous desert wolf that Kureha believed him to be. As the others use the tank to send a wire over, the ground collapses beneath them, but Klaus manages to rescue Kureha before she falls in. Despite finding out he is not the desert wolf, Kureha still recognizes Klaus as the person she admires. Kureha tells Kanata more about Princess Ilya, mentioning that she had originally planned to marry the Roman Emperor in order to improve relations with the Roman Empire. Yumina asks Kanata and Ryo to check up on an old woman named Jakot, who lives in the mountains. The two later take a walk where Ryo talks to Kanata about her half-sister. As the snow falls, Jakot, filled with memories about her love, runs off into the snow and never returns. Ryo, revealing that she is the half-sister of Ilya, decides to leave the fortress to help improve relations between the warring sides in her place, and leaving Kanata her trumpet. Kanata and Kureha find an unconscious Roman soldier while on patrol in the snow and return her to the fortress, where they treat her frostbite. The next day, the soldier awakens but does not understand Helvetian, and the others only grasp her name as Aisha. Later, Naomi and Yumina arrive, informing them that Helvetian armies are heading towards the fortress. Yumina acts as the translator for Aisha, who says she came to see the angel fossil which Kanata saw when she first arrived in Sais. The 9th Independent Mobile Division, led by Colonel Hopkins, the infamous Demon of Vinx, whom Noel knows and is terrified of, arrive at the fortress. Felicia chooses to hide Noel and Aisha from Hopkins' contingent, who takes over the fortress. However, their position is given away when Aisha recognizes Noel as the Witch of Helvetia and mentions the Invisible Reaper, causing Noel to scream and run from the room. At the same time, the fortress gets a call that a massive Roman army contingent has been spotted in no man's land, advancing towards the border of Helvetia at Sais. Aisha is injured by crossfire, but Felicia takes Colonel Hopkins hostage before he can take Aisha prisoner, and they barricade themselves inside the fortress. Hopkins intended to use Aisha to instigate war and to reuse the biological weapon that Noel helped to revive in the process. The girls were good at stalling Hopkins' contingent, but he eventually escapes to rejoin his army and resume operations. Kanata hears a faint ceasefire signal, but Hopkins does not listen. With little options left, and after a few civilians get arrested, the girls use the restored Takamikazuchi and are victorious in a battle against Hopkins and his men. Upon reaching the field between the approaching Roman and Helvetian armies, Kanata sounds a ceasefire signal, but is ignored. She then plays Amazing Grace, which temporarily stalls both forces. Before hostilities are about to resume as the song ends, Ryo arrives, accompanied by the Helvetian royal guard. Ryo, now fiancé of the Roman emperor, orders both sides to stop while bearing an official creed that declares the war has ended. In the peacetime that follows, Ryo rejoins the 1121st platoon as a granted request by the emperor for ending the war. And that concludes this summary of the main episodes of Soro no Oto. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, consider subscribing. But until next time, bye bye.